Secrets of the dollar bill. Secret number 1, a Kitty's hognose bat, life size, on the dollar bill. And inside the nose of the Kitty's hognose bat is a skull and bones with teeth, representing the Yale Skull and Bones Society, because there are 6 teeth on the bottom, 6 teeth on the top, and 6 lines that comprise the eyes. Therefore, those 3 sixes add up to 18. The number 32 are the 3 contiguous dark lines around the outside of each eye. The number 22 represents the 2 white lines around the outside of each eye. When you add up the 3 sixes, you have the number 18. When you add up the 322 to the number 18, you have the year 1832, the year the Skull and Bones Society was formed. More importantly, you have the number 322, Skull and Bones, aka Skull and Bones 322 from Yale University. Secret number 1, done. Secret number 2, the owl. That is the representative of the Bohemian Grove Society, placed upon the dollar bill, and representative of the American war machine. Secret number 2, because the Bohemian Grove Society represents the war machine and controls America's war machine. So you have the control of the war machine and you have the control of the monetary system. Secret number 2, done. Secret number 3, the commander-in-chief. The original way to kill people is, if you'll notice, it looks like a headdress of an Indian, and it is, because it is a chief. The chief has 13 arrows in its sinister claw, and 13 leaves on an olive branch, or bow of olive branch, 13. But a bow can be spelled B-O-U-G-H or B-O-W. They are interchangeable. Therefore, you have an Indian chief with a bow and arrows, representative of war, but because the American shield is over the Indian chief's chest, it represents the commander-in-chief and the god of war. And, ladies and gentlemen, no one can dispute that those things appear on the dollar bill because they are there. Secret number 3, done. Secret number 4, whoever created the $1 bill also is responsible for the building of the Great Pyramid. That is why it exists on the $1 bill. But more importantly, secret number 4 is done. Those beings created all of these things. But more than that, secret number 5, they created 3-dimensional constructs that when you fold the dollar bill in a certain configuration, they become 3-dimensional constructs with life-size faces, or life-like faces of a bullock. Notice the lips, and notice the tongue lashing around the lips, eyes left and right, and the nostrils and everything. And those are on your dollar bills. But it also becomes a 6-winged seraphim, and the 6-winged seraphim protects the Lord God on either end of, you got it, the Ark of the Covenant. And this is the Ark of the Covenant on the $1 bill. And I have proven this in my book, Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching my dissertations on the dollar bill. And these are just some of the secrets that I discuss in my book, Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio. And a God day to everybody, because with Mr. Obama riding on the dick of doom, you people are so screwed. The Dildo Burger Prophecies by Michael Fazio, July 20th, 2011. Today, 5 events are going to take place on July 20th that are going to change the course of history. Of course, the most important event that's going to change the course of history is I am going to show you a depiction of Satan or Lucifer on the reverse of the $1 bill that is actually a representation of the abomination that represents itself as the 44th POTUS inside the White House of the United States of America. And folks, this is a portrait of the abomination that sits within the White House of the United States of America. But more to the point, folks, this is a portrait of Satan. And inside this portrait of Satan are several faces that you can make out. Let's show you one face there. Let's back it up and show you a second face there. Notice the horn-like structures that come down kind of like handlebar mustaches that float downwards towards the ground. This is a representation of Satan on the reverse of the $1 bill. This is inside the pictographs of the obverse and reverse of the $1 bill that I have always depicted as the God Pod and the evil seed of death. And this is what happens when you fold the bill in a certain way and bring the God Pod and the evil seed of death together, where when I'm going to scroll this down a little bit, when you bring the God Pod and the evil seed together, like so, where they're almost touching, this entity is formed. Because let us say that the words on the reverse of the $1 bill, "In God We Trust One," is what separates the God Pod and the evil seed of death. Let us say for a moment that the words inside the God Pod and the evil seed of death are a representation of time. And let us say that the God Pod, which represents life, and the evil seed of death, which represents death, let us say that someone takes or diminishes this time and then causes a pictograph such as this to appear, where they are not quite as close as they were in the first picture. They are only 1/8 of an inch different in size or width, but the entity that appeared, that I just showed you, appears as an animal-like entity in nature. It appears to be holding its eyes or hands over its eyes, and this appears to be a great sword that comes out of its head for reasons that are not necessarily needed to be described. But this is the great sword that comes from on high when Barack Hussein Obama enters into the White House as an abomination to this world, as represented in the Bible and also in Matthew 25 verse 15 as an abomination. Now let us back off this picture momentarily and let us take the next caricature, the evil seed of death, which is the commander-in-chief. This is the shield. This is a nuclear detonation. This is a nuclear detonation. This is a nuclear detonation. It can be nothing else. The way it is depicted inside the supposed glory, it is a nuclear detonation. It is a nuclear detonation. It cannot be anything else. It is a nuclear detonation that appears over the commander-in-chief. This is the shield. This represents the 44th POTUS. Of course, the feathers represent the Masons, supposedly. However, this is a bow and this is arrows. A bow and arrows represents the God of war, folks. This is not a happenstance circumstance. This is created by an entity. This is these pictographs. The whole entire reverse of the $1 bill was created by an entity that we perceive to be alien in nature, and it may very well be alien in nature. But Hebrews 8 verse 8 explains this entity to a large degree, in that it gives the Zionists, or the Jewish faction of the olden days, the ability to rule this world. But I don't think that it's the same Jewish entities that the Lord God gave these Jewish nations back when Hebrews 8:8 was written. I believe that the whole thing has been sidetracked by an evil entity, and now the people that control our government are more of an evil-like nature. Because if it was an all-loving and all-love-bearing God, it would have never allowed this many people to exist on planet Earth. And if it didn't do that, it wouldn't need to kill 93% of this world's population. And that's what's happening, folks. Now, let's move back once again to this entity. This is what I call the evil seed of death. This is what I call the Indian chief with the bow and arrows, that had the ability to kill with bow and arrows. And this is what I call the commander-in-chief that has the ability to kill with nuclear power. This is the two methodologies in which they will kill us, folks. We are about to be annihilated, every one of us. Get used to the idea, because today they are in Congress pushing forth laws that are supposed to help this world, but in fact they are destroying the United States of America's economy so that they can collapse the economy, so that they can wear you down through attrition and through your taking of all your money and make you feel as if this is all your fault. But it's not your fault. This event has been planned for 50,000 years by this entity. It is almost as if these pictographs that appear on the reverse of the $1 bill tell a story that this entity created 50,000 years ago and follows as if it was a script in a movie. The events that are taking place in today's world are depicted on the reverse of the $1 bill to where it almost seems like a movie. This is a picture of Satan, or Luciferian type entity, that appears on the reverse of the $1 bill when you bring the God Pod and the evil seed of death together. This occurs to the degree it occurs, to the amount of detail that it occurs in. Look, it's a face. It's a Luciferian type face. But let me show you what this Luciferian face looks like when you turn it upside down, like Satan turns your world upside down. This Luciferian face turns into something so monstrous that you won't even believe that you never saw this before, or no one ever saw it before, because I am bringing it to you for the first time today in its entirety. I'm going to zoom in on it, but let's say these two things were eyes. It looks like the snout of some sort of beast. But moving past that, look at the horns. See the horns? Here's a set of horns. This has a point. This one doesn't come to a point. Here's another set of horns. Here's another set of horns. And here's a fourth set of horns, folks. There are 4 sets of horns. Look at the face when I bring you into detail. Look, there is one face. Here is an eye. Here is an eye. This is a nose, this is a mouth, and this is a horn-like entity. This is Lucifer because the horns go upwards. Notice how the horns go upwards. Notice how the body is shaped like a human body, but doesn't have fingers per se, or feet per se, but it does have 5 little lines here inside the little curl that you can't see without a magnifying glass that represent fingers, and these are the type of pictographs that exist on the $1 bill, just like the owl that I have showed you in previous videos that no one else on earth has ever seen except Michael Fazio. So today in history, these are the events that are going to take place in history. The first event that takes place on July 20th happened in 1969, the landing on the moon of the astronauts. The second major event that takes place is today, the landing of the space shuttle. The third major event is what's going on behind closed doors in Congress. They give you a little bit and they take everything away. They gave you Minnesota was supposedly the deal was brokered to bring Minnesota back online. And then what do? The Republicans and the Democrats for the last month, they fight amongst themselves to make it look like they're doing something that's worthy, that they should earn a paycheck. And meanwhile, what they're doing, folks, is they're giving you the dildo burger. Butt end first, folks. They aren't doing a damn thing for us. What they're doing is they're getting ready to wipe us out via a nuclear catastrophe. This is Satan. This is a Satan-like entity on the reverse of the $1 bill. And my name is Michael Fazio. And I am telling you that I believe that today someone is going to watch this video. Someone is going to see these pictographs that I am portraying, and someone is going to make me an offer to purchase the rights to the books and make a movie. Because, folks, this is one of the most important discoveries of the 21st century, and I need to get a bigger camera. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Fazio, and there are things about me that you couldn't even begin to comprehend. And one of the things that no one else knows is that I have a gift that has been given to me by something we perceive to be God, but I choose to call it a godlike being, because this godlike being has been on and of this world for millions of years. It has utilized many methodologies to express itself throughout the ages. I have discovered a codices that links the multitudes of gods and their attachment to one another in plain sight, that has been hidden in front of all the world for 87 years. These icons that I am showing you right now are icons that have represented what we perceive to be God, and is God for all intent and purposes, but is not God, that we would understand to be an all-knowing and all-seeing, omniscient being. This perception that we have of God has been placed in our minds by a secret society that has also utilized these tools to build up and destroy hundreds, if not thousands, of societies. They have utilized the plumb bob. They have utilized the compass and the square. And they have utilized words. More specifically, the codices I broke is encrypted into this very book and associates itself with Christianity. However, what I have discovered is that there is a secret society that has been contiguous, which means it has existed throughout all of history and has never ceased to exist. It has only gone in hiding. One of the representations is a skull and bones for this society, the Yale Skull and Bones Society. One of the representation is the skull and bones with teeth that I have discovered upon the reverse of the $1 bill, utilizing what I call Fazigami. How am I doing there, Art Rand? He wanted me to make another Fazigami video, and I'm making it now. The skull and bones with teeth, the cross of Christ, the crystalline nature that refracts light in one direction and disperses it into another. The Egyptian god of the Great Pyramid, the Great Pyramid itself, and of course, the Judaic philosophy. All of these cultures have been combined and conjoined within the boundaries of the $1 bill. However, more importantly, what you see before you is a perfect depiction of a gold Ark of the Covenant, supposedly to scale. But I can tell you that each person in this world has held the Ark of the Covenant in their hands. And it is portrayed in the Bible that when the Ark of the Covenant is once again discovered, the world as we know it will cease to exist. Therefore, it will be my undoing of the world, that it will cease to exist once people understand my discovery upon the $1 bill. Now I'm going to show you what I have discovered, and I will tell the world that this discovery and its concept is for sale. I want to make a movie. I want somebody to write my book professionally. But what you are seeing right now is the Ark of the Covenant upon the $1 bill, scaled down so that no one ever noticed it before. And the scale that is used is incorporated into a segment of the $1 bill. And once you understand what is called the legend, you can understand how to see the Ark of the Covenant. All of that information is in my revolutionary book called Angels on the Ark. Now, without further ado, I am going to show you how you too can see the Ark of the Covenant upon the $1 bill. What you are looking at right now is the mercy seat. The mercy seat is where the Lord God's Shinka or energy sat. If you notice, it says there can only be one God in the Bible. What you see on the $1 bill is "In God We Trust One." This represents the Lord God's first commandment. I told you I would show you the crystalline nature where light is dispersed and refracted. This segment that you see is the only trapezoidal type ingrain on the $1 bill, and it represents the crystalline nature. Further proof of this I will give you instantly, because what I am going to do is move this paper over and show you the crystalline nature of a crystal itself. You see before you a trapezoidal crystal, and you see before you a trapezoidal configuration on the $1 bill. If you'll notice, the three-dimensional fiction or three-dimensional depiction of the trapezoidal nature. Why is this so? It is so because God is represented as light, and light is reflected through crystal. This crystalline nature that sets in the word one is the trapezoidal nature that represents a crystal. Therefore, it represents light. Therefore, it represents God. But furthermore, this crystalline nature that you see before you is a three-dimensional object. When you look at it from a certain angle, you can see that it takes on a life of its own. It is three-dimensional. It is a raised configuration of pictography. This has been done to show you that the Lord God is above and within the Ark of the Covenant itself. It is a play on words. One God, the tribe of Judah, which was the first tribe of Judah. Jesus Christ, represented as the word lion, lion of the tribe of Judah. The word one. Jesus Christ is the one Son of God. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the depictions on the $1 bill are so precise that if you read my book, I will show you the 4 and 20 elders worshiping the Lord God by both day and night. I will show you how to see the 6th-winged seraphim that set upon the ends of the $1 bill with faces that face before and behind. That is the Egyptian gods' faces. That is one representation of the multitude of gods that are represented on the dollar bill. Another god, or godlike iconology, is the eagle that represented the Roman Empire, which was similar in nature to a god or deity because it represented the power of the Roman Empire. Another god, as we just discussed, is the Christ that represented as the one true God. In God we trust one. And another god are the builders of the Great Pyramid, but not necessarily the Egyptians. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have discovered within the Roman Catholic system and series of pictographies that are used in the Bible by description and the actual pictographs themselves that appear on the $1 bill, that in fact, ladies and gentlemen, we have all been bamboozled. We have all been hoodwinked. Thus my name, hoodwinked by an angel. And in this case, the angel is the angel of the Lord God. An angel is an entity that brings information that is helpful to mankind for a specific reason from a spiritual entity. In this case, the spiritual entity is what we perceive God to be, because what I am going to tell you inside my book will blow your mind. I call it the most incomprehensible plan, or the incomprehensible plan. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the same God that has placed the eagle over the eagle's head a nuclear detonation is the same God that is responsible for the attack on 9/11. And this God has been represented in the case of 9/11 through a different piece of pictography, represented as the six-pointed Star of David. This is no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, that all of the people in the building that was attacked on 9/11/2001 that were Jewish, from the Jewish culture, were warned beforehand, and most of them were not in the building at the time, including the owners of certain big diamond businesses. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this God, this entity that we perceive to be God, is God for all intent and purposes, but it is not God. It has formed a systematic series of events that has culminated to this point in time. This point in time is the end of the world as we know it. It has publicized, just as all of the people that will not answer my phone calls or return my emails, it has publicized to the world its intent and purposes on this planet. Its intent and purpose was to build a society and to create a beginning of a society that is represented as the Great Pyramid. Inside this sphere, or compass, a round circle can be called a compass, is every entity and essence needed for life. If you'll notice, at the base of the pyramid is the grass and also shrubs, and at the corners on both sides are what appear to be trees. Those are fig trees. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the first 17 verses of the book of Genesis exist within this compass. I have gone through them step by step in my book. No one will dare prove me wrong, because this is a pictograph that represents the genesis of our society, the first segment of our society. This represents the Ark of the Covenant and the God Christ in the year 000. This represents the central portion of our existence. And this, ladies and gentlemen, represents the end of our existence as we know it. The eagle, which is representation of the commander-in-chief. Notice I said the word chief twice, because the commander-in-chief that is in the White House right now will be the last president to ever take office in a free society. This man here will either become a king or a dictator, or we will no longer have a free society in any event. How can I tell you this? The $1 bill is getting ready to be taken off the market. The contract for the bill is up, and so is today's society as we understand it. So this, representing the commander-in-chief, also represents a compass. As the first compass with the pyramid represented Genesis, this compass represents the book of Revelation. The genesis of our culture had everything to do with water and life on earth. Around the eye of the Great Pyramid you can see clouds. That is the fine mist and dew spoken about in Deuteronomy, where the world would be blessed with a book from God, a book or a little scroll from God that would transverse the entire planet. Now, you would say that it would be the Bible that has transversed the entire planet, but that is not so. The Bible is a book with words written in a specific language. The pictographs on the $1 bill are global and probably interstellar pictography, because what you see is the light that can and does create life itself. Inside the light is the Lord God's eye. Let thine eye be single. The rays of light that come from the eye radiate in every direction. That is the light that gives life to the grass, the herb, and the tree with fruit that has seeds within itself, the fig tree. Behind and to the left and right of the Great Pyramid are 4 individual bodies of water. So you have the land that was created in the beginning. Let there be light. There was a void. There was a landmass. There was grass. There was herb, and there were fruit-bearing trees with seeds, within the fruit. All of the entities and concepts in the first 17 verses are from the book of Genesis are represented in this compass. The central portion is the word one, Christ, represented. That is a 3-dimensional concept where it is exploded upwards. It sets above everything else, as God would set above everything else. That's why it's 3-dimensional. You have the crystalline nature. That's why it's a crystalline nature, because it refracts the light of God onto this planet. How do I know these things? Well, an entity that we perceive God gave this information to me. So the entities that see me divulging this information to the planet can't get too upset, because the time is now. Or let us say, ladies and gentlemen, the time is at hand for the light of the Lord and the death of Satan to come upon us. The good that is represented on the left side and the fiery death that is represented on the right side is represented as the good of the Lord God and the fiery death of Satan. Why do I call Mr. Obama Satan? Well, let us show you this pictograph individually. As I said, the pyramid represents the compass or sphere known as the God pod, and everything in it represents life. However, everything inside what I call the evil seed of death represents death and only death. There is no water in the compass. The shield is an emblem of war. The arrows are a representation of a methodology in which to kill. At the beginning of our country, a bow and arrows, and a bow and arrows is represented before your eyes. The bow is represented as the branch of olive, and an olive branch that is represented as the word bough, or a bough of olive branch, and bough is spelled B-O-W. So therefore you have a bow and arrows. Then you have the shield, which represents the emblem of the United States of America and the chief, or the commander-in-chief. And above him you have been bamboozled once again. You have been hoodwinked by an angel. In this case, the angel is the angel of the Lord God, the $1 bill itself that has come unto this world to tell us the story of the end of civilization as you know it. Proof that the end is near is that you people believe that Einstein was the first person to theoretically comprehend and conceptualize a nuclear detonation where the particles of the nuclear fissionable materials are transpired into more and more, particle acceleration, where the atoms and the protons expand exponentially. You think that Einstein was the first person to do this, but he wasn't, ladies and gentlemen. Something, and I say something, the same something that put the skull and bones with teeth on the $1 bill that we will get to in a minute, the same something that put the cross of Christ on the $1 bill represented as the Ark of the Covenant, the same entity that built the Great Pyramid, and the same entity that is represented in light in so many different philosophies, and the same entity that so many of the secret societies worship, the light, be it the light of God, or in some cases, some people believe it is the light of Lucifer. Nothing could be further from the truth, ladies and gentlemen. There is but one God, and it is not good and it is not evil. God is simply God. Light, darkness, yin, yang, good and evil have no place when speaking about God. Now, to prove that we are at the end times, represented in the Holy Bible as the book of Revelation, because the book of Revelation is not, and I repeat, it is not a futuristic fairy tale. It is an actual schedule in which this world has existed, exists, and will cease to exist. We are supposed to end in a fiery hell. The fiery hell in today's world is conceptualized as a nuclear detonation or nuclear fissionable material, which exists over the eagle's head. What you are looking at is a nuclear detonation, 13 particles of exponentially expanding pieces and particles of things. Immediately outside those exponentially expanding fissionable particles is a concussion wave of sound, straight lines. And then immediately thereafter is the light blast. This nuclear detonation was designed and placed on the $1 bill before the year 1935 because it took time to make it. This is a depiction of the schedule or this movie script that has been written by this God to end the world as we know it. At the end of time, Satan is supposed to come back. Ladies and gentlemen, Satan is represented right before your eyes. That's right. I told you that this represents the commander-in-chief. I explained to you that this represents the commander-in-chief. I told you in previous videos there's an Indian chief with a bow and arrows in its hands. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you put this bill and invert the bill, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, the devil turns your world upside down. So by turning the $1 bill upside down, you should be able to see the devil, if I'm telling you the truth. And there it is. The devil has no face. The face is hidden behind the shield or the chief, the emblem. The devil has a methodology in which to kill everything in the book of Revelation with fire. And there you have it. The devil controls the nuclear blast that's represented over the eagle's head, and at this point, under the eagle's head. But before there was death by nuclear holocaust, the only way to kill people was a bow and arrows. Therefore, the chief that I told you is represented as Obama, and the commander-in-chief, he has a bow and arrows. 13 arrows and a bough of olive branch. Also, the chief has what is called a vertical headdress. He hides behind a shield. The 33 and 32 feathers represent the order of Masonry. This is a simple deduction. This is all known information about the feathers. But what you didn't know is that the Satan sets upon and within the circle or compass that I have deemed, determined, coined, and copyrighted the evil seed of death. I am the first person to see Satan on the dollar bill. However, further proof of this, where you can see that God and Satan become one, are all these representations of the number 13 in this compass. We have 13 seeds, nuclear fissionable seeds, 13 letters in E pluribus unum. No one has been able to find more than 5. 13 stripes. Then you have 13 lines on the chief, which is the blue part of the flag. That is 5 individual 13s. Those are the only ones anybody has ever seen. However, along with the 13 arrows, which is pretty common, you have 13 leaves on the fig tree. There you have more 13s. So you have 1 13, E pluribus unum, 2 13, the chief of the flag, 3 13s, the stripes, 4 13s, the arrows, 5 13s, the bough of olive branch and the berries within it, 6 and 7 13s. I tell you there are 13 13s. Within the claw, the eagle's dexter claw, are 3 talons and 1 talon. That's the 9th set of 13. 1 and 3. On the sinister claw are 3 and 1 talons. 1 and 3. That's the 10th 13. In my book, I describe to you how you come to the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Now, I will further prove that this is the Ark of the Covenant. No one on earth can prove me wrong. On the Ark of the Covenant is a depiction which is created on the $1 bill that precisely and exactly represents the book of Exodus and the instructions to build the Ark of the Covenant given to Moses. What you are looking at here are the poles of shittim wood or Arcadia wood that are covered with gold. In the instructions, the way these poles are held onto the Ark of the Covenant, they are held with 4 individual ringlets. Ladies and gentlemen, I will show you these ringlets right now. The first ringlet is right here. The first ringlet is right here. That is the first ringlet. You can see it wraps itself around the pole. The second ringlet is right there. It wraps itself around the pole. The third ringlet is right here under the word united. It wraps itself around the pole. The fourth ringlet is right here. It wraps itself around the pole. Where do the handles go when they are carried? They are carried by men. Men are represented by the hands that would be parallel to the poles, or the word one. The one true God is represented as the number 1, where man and God can only meet, because if man touches the Ark of the Covenant, he dies. There you have the handles. 1 handle, 2 handles, 3 handles, 4. Now I will show you a little bit more. Being that I am a licensed jet mechanic and a mechanical engineer student and have the ability to utilize these tools, I will show you that the person that created the $1 bill, entity that created the $1 bill, or God-like deity that is posing as God, has placed actual alignment marks on the $1 bill so that you could create different systems of events by utilizing these alignment marks if you knew how. There are alignment marks immediately under the circle. There are alignment marks to the right of the circle. There are alignment marks above the D. There are another set of alignment marks above that little curtail. There are another set of alignment marks here, and another set of alignment marks, and so on and so forth. They exist on the bottom and they exist on the top. If you'll notice, they exist everywhere on the bill. They exist on the obverse and reverse as well. An engineering schematic is what you are seeing, because by folding the $1 bill a certain way, you can change it into different configurations, including, ladies and gentlemen, the Ark of the Covenant itself. But to prove that this entity that I perceive and call God at one point in my life is not God, but it is a representation of good and life, Christ and death and evil. It represents all of these things as the yin and the yang, the good and the evil, the light and the dark, heaven and hell, God and Satan. It is all represented on the $1 bill, as is the Bohemian Society and the Great Horned Owl. Do you think it's a coincidence that these people that rule the world have these iconologies on the dollar bill? The skull and bones with teeth. Now I will show you a real skull and bones with teeth on the $1 bill. And then I will show you a real owl upon the $1 bill. Let us go to my portrait photo copy of the $1 bill and how I folded it in order for you to see the great horned owl upon the $1 bill. This story is for sale. I want to sell the rights to the movie and the book. Here you see the great horned owl. I will rotate it slightly and lose the shadow, and the owl becomes clear as day. The snout of the owl, the feathery, fluffy feathers around the beak, that is what a great horned owl looks like. The depiction will be in the description box below. You have the eyes of the owl. Now I want you to notice the wings of the owl spread over the God pod and the evil seed of death, as if it was its brood. And an owl has 2 eggs, maximum, typically, 1 or 2 eggs. These eggs are what I call the God pod and the evil seed of death. These are the seeds of life and the seeds of death. Now, to prove that this is no happenstance circumstance, notice to the left and right of the eyes of the owl, where the wings would be the shoulders or the pivot. Notice how those are soft, rounded type bones that would support the wings. Then I will show you the hog-nosed bat that is represented as a skull and bones with teeth on the $1 bill. Those bones are crisp and seemingly broken, and they are not soft like the owl's. It is the only place on the dollar bill that there is such a disparity between one and the other. So you have the soft wings of the owl. Then below the owl you have the hog-nosed bat, which is now upside down. But when I turn it around or invert it, you have the hog-nosed bat. A hog-nosed bat is also in the description box below. A real hog-nosed bat is 2 5/8 of an inch wide. And what you are looking at here, when you fold your $1 bill that's in your pocket, is 2 5/8 of an inch. And by aligning the alignment marks under the word M to create the word M precisely like that, you will see the skull and bones. You will see the skull and bones that is represented on the $1 bill. Now this is only a photocopy, so I will show you now a real one. But this one is the owl and the Kitti's bat, K-I-T-T-S bat. It's called a sugar bat as well. It is 2 5/8 of an inch in real life, and on the $1 bill, when you fold the bill in this configuration, you will see it as a 2 5/8 inch character. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. None of this was done by happenstance. It was all planned. It is a plan that goes far beyond that of human comprehension. Why do I know it? Because something that we perceive to be God gave me this information. Apparently, that's why I'm still alive. Otherwise, they would have killed me years ago. Now, we have the hog-nosed bat. And you have, at the nose of the hog-nosed bat, you have the skull and bones with teeth. Notice that there are 6 teeth. My hand is getting tired. There are 6 teeth on the bottom. There are 6 teeth on the top. And there are 6 lines that comprise the eyes. I'm trying to get it. There are 6 lines that comprise the eye. One eye is closed like the Illuminati. 6 teeth on the bottom, 6 teeth on the top, and 6 lines. I will turn it around and get the light. There we go. This is not an accident, ladies and gentlemen. This is a skull and bones with teeth. This is the kitty's bat. Notice the bone structure at the shoulder that I showed you is crisp, as opposed to the soft feathery nature next to the owl's head. This is the kitty's bat. This bat is on the dollar bill because this was an iconology that was existent thousands or millions of years ago from a previous secret society that also has been and is in control. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the society that I tell you that is in control, that put this bat and owl on the $1 bill, that placed the skull and bones with teeth that represents the number 666, because there are 6 teeth on the bottom, 6 teeth on the top, and 6 lines. That represents the number 18. The number 32 is represented to the left and to the right of the skull and bones. 3 dark lines and 2 white lines, the number 32. Thus the year 1832 from the Secret Skull and Bone Society in Yale. Now, how did they put all of this onto the $1 bill? I can tell you they used some sort of a computer that works with Euclidean optics. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is only the beginning of what is on the dollar bill. I have in my book hundreds of other depictions. Now I will show you the ends of the $1 bill by utilizing Euclidean optics. At first, they appear to be nothing. No one has ever seen a face on either end of the dollar bill. But when you do this, the faces of Egyptian men facing left and right become perfectly obvious. When you move to the opposite side, the Incan and or Mayan gods facing up on a 45-degree angle become perfectly obvious. This god is facing left on a 45-degree angle. This god, Incan or Mayan god, is facing right. Notice the detail. You see a mouth, you see a nose, you see eyes facing before and behind. That's because it represents the 6th-winged seraphim. This is the 6th-winged seraphim. This is a representation of the bullock, but no one has ever seen it before because no one understands Fazigami like Michael Fazio. I am the Fazigami genius. I am the origami Fazigami folder from heaven. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Through the technology that I have utilized over the last 30 years, I have found a methodology in which to show you this 6th-winged seraphim with faces both before and behind. And what you are looking at right now is the nose of a bullock. Notice the tongue lashing out. Notice the nostrils. Both nostrils, both right, and an eye on the right side, and a nostril on the left-hand side. This is no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. Then I want you to notice the bullock's horns, which can be a calf, or it can be a bullock. They are interchangeable. However, the sixth-winged seraphim has faces both before and behind that guard, not God, guard the Lord's chariot and or the Ark of the Covenant. This is the sixth-winged seraphim with faces both before and faces behind. And you know it is because on the opposite side of the bill, this is the side with the eagle. On the opposite side of the bill are also faces that face before and behind, the side with the pyramid. You see, ladies and gentlemen, what you have here are icons that represent past civilizations. What you have are icons that represent various forms of gods and technologies that go far beyond that we have in today's world. And by utilizing the tools that you see before you, the King James Version of the Bible, a compass, a plumb bob and a compass, and a square, and utilizing intelligence through my many various studies, and by utilizing things that I was taught on a surreal nature by studying Tibetan yoga and Hindu philosophies, and by studying all the different religions and theologies of the world. I, Michael Fazio, am the person that brings these iconologies, understandings to you, ladies and gentlemen. And why do I bring them to you? Because I am telling you that the world as we know it is about to end, and end abruptly. We have Fukushima, which in 20 years, at 2 or 3 or 4% a year of a reduction in sperm, our sperm counts are going down by 2 or 3 or 4%. Our sperm counts are going down 2 or 3 or 4% from Fukushima. That's right. I am telling you this information because this is the methodology in which this race of beings, these alien or godlike entities or deities, is going to utilize to destroy this world. Some sort of nuclear fissionable materials, a nuclear happenstance like Fukushima, a nuclear disaster like a war in the Middle East will cover or blanket the earth with nuclear fissionable materials. Once that happens, if we have a meltdown in Japan and Building 3 collapses into Fuel Pool 4, there won't be any way to stop the catastrophic events. And they estimate in 20 years, Alex Jones's favorite symbol, in 20 years, hey Alex, how you doing? Alex wouldn't put my book on his website. I'm not his biggest fan. In 20 years, the sperm count of Americans and peoples of the world will be reduced to between 5 and 10% of what it is today. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is about to be annihilated utilizing some sort of nuclear fissionable process, be it bombs, or one nuclear power plant overreacts and it cascades to the next one downwind because no one can take care of the next one, or the next one after that, or the next one after that. And this is a 1 million or 10 million year process. Ladies and gentlemen, this is called a pictograph. It is a pictograph of the Skull and Bones, which represents the Skull and Bones Society, created in the year 1832, inclusive of the number 322, which is on the Skull and Bones Society's front door. But what you didn't know is that it also represents 666, and it does so by the 6 teeth in the lower jawbone of the Skull and Bones, the 6 teeth of the upper jawbone, and the 6 lines that comprise the eyes of the Skull and Bones skull itself. How it represents the number 1832 is when you take those 3 6s and add them up, then you see the number 18. However, when you move in closer to the left and right of the eyes, what you will see are 3 dark lines on the left side and 3 dark lines on the right side, representing the number 3. Then you see inside those dark lines 2 white lines and 2 white lines, representing the number 3 and 2. Included in this pictograph of numerology, you see the number 1833 and 1832 because you have 6, 6, and 6, which is 18, and then you have 3 and 3, 1833, and you have the number 1832, 6, 6, 6, 3, 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, something put this pictograph on the $1 bill, and it certainly wasn't myself, aka Michael Fazio. But I have just shown you the Skull and Bones Society, and where does that Skull and Bones set? Well, it sets on every dollar bill when folded in this precise configuration. And you know the precise configuration is because you see the alignment marks that were placed there as engineering drawing alignment marks to make this configuration. I call it Fazagami because when you fold it as such, the Skull and Bones with teeth appears to be in the nose of what is an exact replica to scale of the Kitty's Hognose bat. And this Kitty's Hognose bat you will see in the next frame. But the face of the Hognose bat can be configured as also as a ram's head. All of these iconologies represent a satanic entity. Now we're going to move on and I will show you the full dimension of the Kitty's Hognose bat with its wings spread over the seed pods, what I call the seed pods, and you will see those in this drawing that's coming up. This is another depiction of the Skull and Bones blown up a little bit differently. But we are going to move to where the wings are spread over the seed pods left and right. Okay, we're going to move there. Okay, we're getting there now. It's starting to spread its wings a little further, and there it is with its wings spread over the seed pods. Now, this is just one depiction. When you blow it up a little bit further, it becomes even more clear that it is the Kitty's Hognose bat. But the interesting thing is, once we turn it into a little bit more of a higher resolution, there you have the Skull and Bones inside the Kitty's Hognose bat and inside the ram's head. But also, as I showed you before, you have the number 666. Now, when we do nothing but shine a light behind the dollar bill, you can see I put some orange highlighting in the eyes of the hognose bat itself, which in real life is 2 5/8 of an inch wide and 3/4 of an inch high. On the dollar bill, when it is folded in this exact configuration, the wingspan of the hognose bat is 2 1/5/8 of an inch wide and 3/4 of an inch high. It is precisely to within 1/10,000th of an inch the exact size of a real hognose bat. And the description for this will be in the description box below. But now, when you take that Kitty's Hognose bat and you rotate it upside down, and we're going to have to rotate it twice, rotate it once, rotate it twice, and blow it up, and I'm going to expand it even a little further. Now you see, I have to do that again. Now you will see a An exact replica, precise exact replica of a great horned owl. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the owl on the $1 bill. This is my discovery, Michael Fazio. You can call me Professor Fazio if you like, because I am the world's greatest expert on pictography on the $1 bill. And in my next video, I am going to show you 3 distinct pyramids on the dollar bill. But for now, you should understand that that owl represents a precise replica of the great horned owl, which is part of the Bohemian Grove Society. Ladies and gentlemen, don't think anything other than the fact that this is exactly done on purpose by an ancient race of beings, an ancient civilization, an alien civilization that has ruled and controlled this world for millions of years. Now, what you see on the left-hand side of your screen is a picture of Satan that can only be seen when you take what I call the evil seed of death and invert it. And now I will describe Satan on the $1 bill. Indian chief is hiding behind the Great Shield of the United States of America. And what does the Great Shield of the United States of America represent? It represents the Chief of America. Therefore, the feathers that you see in the headdress behind the Great Shield are an exact replica of what is called a vertical headdress, an Indian vertical headdress, hiding behind a shield. Now, to prove that it's an Indian and to prove that it's Satan, look in the sinister claw and you will see 13 arrows. In the sinister claw are 13 arrows. In the dexter claw is a bough of olive branch, but a bough of olive branch is spelled B-O-W, which means it's a bow and arrows. And even to the effect that a bough is a spring-like piece of wood from a tree is utilized to create a bow, or the half or 1/2 of a bow and arrows. Thus you have a bow and arrows. Now, to prove that this is Satan, if you'll notice, under the Indian's headdress there is no face. Well, Satan doesn't have a face per se, or a name per se. He goes under the guise of many names, which also Mr. Obama goes under the guise of many names and many faces, because he originally portrayed himself as Barack Hussein Obama, but then immediately after he got the Muslim vote, he denied any action to that name. However, he has also never told us his real name on his birth certificate, which coincides with Satan not having a real name. Now, in the end of the world, in the end of times, the world is supposed to end with a nuclear or fiery death. Underneath Satan's bow and arrows, where his legs would be, which look a little bit like a cartoon character, is a nuclear detonation. And to prove this to you, I will zoom in, and what you are looking at are 13 individual seeds of a radiological material expanding exponentially outwards from the center of the concussion blast, or from the center of the blast. Immediately outside those 13 particles is the concussion wave, which is a little bit more dense than the exterior wave of a nuclear detonation, which would be light and heat. The description for a nuclear detonation link will be in the description box below, at which point you will be able to see that the detonation is completely different than the glory. The glory is a radiance of light coming from a central portion, and although they are both nuclear in basic technology, the sun being a nuclear furnace, this one is a radiation or a glory, and this one is a detonation of a nuclear weapon. This is the depiction of the first nuclear weapon that has ever been depicted in public. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I state unequivocally that no one has been able to disprove any of my theories. I state unequivocally that an ancient race of beings, or an alien race of beings, or a remnant society that existed on this earth for millions of years, I, Michael Fazio, state this remnant society has controlled this world for millions of years. And they build up the society to get what they need, their mineral needs, their biological needs, stem cells, the mineral needs, gold, platinum, palladium. And they build us up to build their underground bunkers because they know that eventually there'll be another Holocaust type event, probably from the 400 plus nuclear reactors that they helped design, build, and proliferate on the planet Earth that they can never control. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Fukushima, which is really spelled F-U proper, is going to annihilate millions. However, they can never do anything about Fukushima. You will not live long enough to see any impact on anything man does to Fukushima. And your children will not live long enough. Your great-grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. Nobody in the near-distant future, 500 plus years, will ever live to see anything done about Fukushima for two reasons. One, the technology doesn't exist. And two, they don't want to do anything about it. They have their society built up. They have their general needs. And now they will destroy this society through nuclear proliferation of the world. Because once one nuclear reactor is not able to take care of itself, then there'll be a chain reaction across the planet Earth, and all the nuclear reactors will not be able to be manned because the radiation from the upwind or downwind reactor, depending on the winds of change, Mr. Obama, depending on the winds of change, the wind will stop anybody from being able to service the nuclear reactors. And that is what they want. They want us dead. They want us dead. They want us dead. This man has been placed into office to see to the economic destruction of America so that we, the people of the planet Earth, in America more specifically, feel as if we have failed as a nation. Everything this man does is only to destroy the economic structure of the world and reduce our mental prowess and our mental capacity to feel secure in our own skin. This man was sent to basically put you into a state of depression. These people sent this man to put you into a state of depression so that you would not rebel against the empire.
I can't speak for the Academy, but I sure feel relieved after that one.
He makes fun of the people of the planet Earth. This is from my friend Pat. His my good friend Pat. I wish you a happy New Year's, Pat. Mr. Obama, and these are people that are sent to Mr. Obama into office that represent an ancient race of beings that I have portrayed in my book, Angels on the Ark. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There's another plug for my book, whose sales have skyrocketed on Christmas. So thank you, everybody, for the wonderful display of patronage that you portrayed, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the sales have skyrocketed on a Christmas day. And to this day, ladies and gentlemen, not the one person ever in any comment on any one of my 2.5+ million views from my last channel and this channel, not the one person that has read this book has made even one complaint. Nobody has asked for their money back, and not even one time. Nobody has said that once they read in my book that the skull and the bones with teeth is not proven to be there. Nobody that says the Ark of the Covenant is not on the $1 bill, because, ladies and gentlemen, it is on the $1 bill, the Ark of the Covenant. And they put it there, ladies and gentlemen, because, ladies and gentlemen, whoever designed the Ark of the Covenant, utilizing tools like this back in the day, before 1934, was not the human. Maybe somebody made an outline of the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe somebody made an outline of the pyramid. But there's 3 pyramids on the $1 bill, ladies and gentlemen. I found the 3. I'm going to show you those 3 pyramids in another video. There's 3 pyramids on the $1 bill that nobody ever sees, because they don't know how to see inside the $1 bill by utilizing the front and the back, obverse and reverse, and shining light through it at a certain angle. 3 pyramids appear. But nobody in this world is a better Bible expert than a Professor Michael Fazio. That's right. I'm tapping myself on the shoulder because nobody else is tapping me on the shoulder. But then again, I have to say thank you that nobody has tapped me out either. But then again, I really don't care, and they know that I don't care, because I'm going to keep making these videos. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what I am trying to do, and you might not understand this, is I am trying to save the earth. Because the earth is the only planet in the universe that has free beer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You cannot get the beer anyplace else in the universe. So I have to do the world a favor by saving the planet. I make the beer available to the people from now on into the future. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, beyond any doubt, that all of these things on the $1 bill, like the owl, the Bohemian owl, that's on the $1 bill, on the video. And, ladies and gentlemen, the other pictographs that can be seen by utilizing the words inside of the King James Bible, ladies and gentlemen. Inside of this book is a codices that the Michael Fazio has broke, and I break the codices down inside of my book, Angels on the Ark. I cannot do that in a video because it's a complex. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 pages just to describe one particular chapter and a verse. One verse of one chapter in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelations, because the book of Revelations is depicted on the back of the $1 bill, just like the book of Genesis is on the $1 bill. Left side Genesis, right side evil seed of death, book of Revelations, left side God part. That's right. And these things are inside of my book, Angels on the Ark. And nobody comes forth to try to prove me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, because I cannot be proven wrong. Because I am the world's greatest expert on the $1 bill. That's right. I'm tapping myself over here. I'm tapping myself over there. I'm giving me 2 thumbs up, because you cannot prove anything other than what I say is true. And I have also, I tell you, that this man, you might not like what I have to say about this man, but this man, he only has one purpose in life. He only has one purpose, and that the purpose is to destroy America. That's right. And if he didn't want to destroy America, he would have talked about the Fukushima, and he would have talked about the Gulf oil spill, but they don't talk about the Gulf oil spill. The Atlantic Ocean, she's poisoned from the Gulf oil spill, and the Pacific Ocean, she's poisoned from the nuclear cores melting into the ground from Fukushima. And when it have this big flood, Hurricane Sandy, they dump all of the nuclear waste from the 3 power plants in the surrounding New York area into the ocean, and the radiation skyrockets into the salt water. And they also dump some kind of chemicals because everybody has this strange fungus from the salt water that was never there before. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the planned annihilation of the world, and it's described in my book, Angels on the Ark. She's described that this man, he comes to destroy the world. He is the destroyer of worlds, ladies and gentlemen, represented in the Bible as he is represented in the Bible as the rider on the pale horse who has no name. And who fits the person that has no name better than Mr. Obama? Nobody, ladies and gentlemen, because Mr. Obama has no name. He cannot give us the name on it. He has no birth certificate, so that means he has no name. And nobody does that. And the Sheriff Arpaio, here's it for you, Sheriff Arpaio. You're a pile, all right. You're a pile of a donkey dung, Sheriff Arpaio. You didn't follow up on your process of finding Mr. Obama. You coward. You're 84 years old. You're a coward. You should have pursued it till the end of your days. How much more do you think you're going to live? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 5 years. You should have pursued that because of Mr. Sheriff Arpaio. Here's it for you. You're a pile of dung, a horse of dung, or a donkey dung, or a donkey dung. That's right, because you're a coward, Sheriff Arpaio. I say this to you. Michael Fazio says it to you on the 12/28 of 2012. Because you should have pursued his birth certificate, but you was afraid because you're a coward. Anybody want to try to prove me wrong? I got $10,000 that says you can't prove me wrong. I got $10,000 to put the logistics together. That's $20,000. That says you can't prove the Ark of the Covenant is not on the $1 bill. You can't prove that the skull and bones and the number 1836 is on the $1 bill. And you certainly can't prove that the great horned owl is on the $1 bill, nor can you prove that the Kitty's hog-nosed bat is on the $1 bill. You cannot disprove anything I said is on the dollar bill, because I am Professor Michael Fazio, the world's greatest expert on the dollar bill. And all you people that think that you can prove, why don't you just take my money? Why don't you take the $10,000 Fazio challenge? Don't make me put my hat on. Don't make me go there, because, ladies and gentlemen, I am Obama man. I know everything there is to know about Mr. Obama because he's depicted in the book of Revelation. I am Obama man. And have a nice New Year's 2012 from Michael Fazio in Key Largo, saying, God day to everybody, because you're going to need it, because this man, he's a come as a rider on the pale horse to destroy the world. Tonight! Ladies and gentlemen, $10,000 to the man that proves a single word of what I am about to say to you is not true. On the reverse of the $1 bill, when it is folded in this specific manner that you will see in less than 90 seconds, there is a perfect caricature of a skull and bones. And the right eye has 3 horizontal lines. The left eye has 3 horizontal lines. 2 of them are closer to one another. However, inside these 2 lines is also a pupil. 33. On the right side there are 3 lines. On the left side there are 3 lines dark. 33. On the inside 2 lines. On the inside 2 lines. 33 and 32. Now, you know I'm not so smart, so I don't know what all of that means. But what I do know is that's on the reverse of the $1 bill, and the person that proves that this is not on the back of the $1 bill receives $10,000. Here is the caricature of the skull and bones on the reverse of the $1 bill, and I will unfold this for you in a moment. There it is. The same caricature that you see on the screen. When I invert it, it becomes an owl. The owl's wings are outstretched over the seed pods. $10,000 to prove me wrong. And now I'm going to invert it once again, show you the skull and bones once again. I'm going to back it off slowly, and I'm going to take the tape off of it. And I'm going to unfold the bill so that you can see that there is, in fact, a skull and bones, a bat that is known as the hog-nosed bat, with the skull and bones as its nose. That's why it's called the hog-nosed bat, because this skull and bones forms a nose, and this is a horned owl. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You would never think it, but my name is Michael Fazio. I have written a book with 3,000 depictions that I have discovered on the reverse and obverse of the $1 bill. The name of the book, you all know the name of the book, is Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio. But what you didn't know is that I created a science to prove everything that I just said to you. And this science is the science of Fazigami. Because when you look at the end of a $1 bill, it looks like you've been looking at it since you were born. However, if you fold it slightly, it changes into what appears to be two faces, before and behind, which represent the six-winged seraphim faces. It also turns into what appears to be a bullock or a calf. However, when Fazigami takes its place in history, Fazigami, by one simple fold of that same $1 bill, by changing the optical angles that the light rays hit and refract upon, the two-plane pictograph becomes a three-dimensional construct because of something known as non-Euclidean optics, which is way over most people's head. But any human being on earth that just heard the word non-Euclidean optics knows that what I just said is true, and this science exists. I am the discoverer of this non-Euclidean optics upon the reverse of the $1 bill that no human being in 1934 could have accomplished. Because even if they could replicate this pictograph, there are 3,000 others on the reverse of the $1 bill that they could not replicate by simple folding methodologies. However, moving past that, even if they could replicate everything you just saw before you on your screen, they couldn't put the words in this book 7,000 years ago, because this book and this pictography that you see on your screen before you, and that I have laid out in the volume of my book, this $1 bill, the plates for the $1 bill, the gravers that made the $1 bill, the people who wrote the Bible, the scribes that wrote the Bible, they did this 7,000 years ago. And I can prove every word of it when you read my book, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you think the Great Pyramid was placed upon the reverse of the $1 bill? I'll tell you why. The Great Pyramid was the original Ark of the Covenant. It was a bond between this energy that created this world, both physically and imaginarily. This Ark of the Covenant energy is represented by the Lord God in Christianity, Krishna, Muhammad, Buddha, and a myriad of other philosophical deities that existed throughout the entire universe, including the Arabic and Asian deities that are too numerous to mention. This deity represents everything that you see on the reverse of the $1 bill in pictographs. Everything it is responsible for on this planet was created by this deity that we call God. But it is more than God, ladies and gentlemen. It is a field of energy that has created everything in the known universe. And I say it was the original Ark of the Covenant because the Great Pyramid, being the original Ark of the Covenant, or bond between humanity and the spirits that appears before you on your screen, and that I have depicted word for word, detail for detail, iota for iota, Minutia for minutia, every single detail of the Ark of the Covenant is represented before you on your screen right now. The poles of shittim wood are the orange lines across the bottom. There are 4 ringlets that hold the poles of shittim wood where the Ark is carried. At the ends of the Ark of the Covenant set the 6th-winged seraphim, the oxen, the bullock. In the center of the Ark of the Covenant sits the chinka of the Lord God, the energy of the one true God of this universe. It is a representation in this case of Jesus Christ, because they utilized the Bible before they allowed computers to come back into existence once again, not be created for the first time. They allowed computers back into this plane of existence. These beings have been on this planet for tens of thousands of years. You people don't get it. They have controlled every aspect of society, through the political spectrum, through the religious spectrum. Why do you think the Vatican is riddled with Egyptian mythology? The government of the United States, the District of Columbia, riddled with Egyptian mythology. The Square Mile in Rome, riddled with Egyptian mythology. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the people who created the Ark of the Covenant, the real Ark of the Covenant that was given to Moses, the people or remnant society that in all likelihood is either from this world and millions of years old, or from another world and another galaxy and is millions of years old. This entity created everything that you see on the reverse of the $1 bill. There are thousands, literally thousands of what I call origami. Things I have discovered on the reverse of the $1 bill. The 6th-winged seraphim with faces before and behind. Look at the wings, folks. The bullock lashing its tongue on all 3 sides. That's how a bullock does it. The 2-dimensional construct where you see virtually nothing, and yet I can tell you it is the beginning and entrance into King Solomon's temple. The 6th-winged seraphim with a simple fold, you can see the 6th-winged seraphim. The original Ark of the Covenant that also represents the first 18 verses of the book of Genesis. Precisely, each and every verse in the book of Genesis is represented in this God pod. Every single detail in the God pod is represented in the book of Genesis, the first 17 verses. The heavens, the light of the Lord God, that let there be light. The Lord God itself, the waters that appeared, the landmass, the seeds, the herbs, the grass, the small fig trees on either side of the base of the Ark of the Covenant. Every detail of the book of Genesis is inside the God pod, just as every single detail of the book of Revelation is entwined inside this seed pod, where you see a representation of Satan itself, or Lucifer, and the nuclear detonation, which is the methodology in which this entity that created all of this is going to utilize to wipe mankind off the face of the earth. And just before this video ends, because I mentioned radiation and the methodology in which they are going to wipe us off the face of this earth, I want to thank Kevin Blanch, who is probably the greatest and most gifted spokesperson for the American people and the people of this world. I want to thank Kevin Blanch for his dedicated insistence that this radiation is killing everybody on the planet. We are all dead, folks!
nicht diese Töne, sondern lasst uns angenehmere anstimmen und Freude, schöner Götter, Funken, Tochter aus Elysium, wir betreten feuertrunken, himmlische dein Heiligtum, deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt, alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt, alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Wie der große Wurf gelungen, eines Freundes Freund zu sein, der ein holdes Weib errungen, mische seinen Jubel ein, der auch eine Seele seinen Tauch begehren rund, und wir's liegen kommt, der Stille beugen sich aus diesem Bund. Freude trinken alle Wiesen an den Brüsten der Natur. Alle Guten, alle Bösen folgen ihrer Rosenspur. Genüsse gab sie uns vom Leben, einen Freund geprüft in Tod. Onus war den Bund gegeben, und der Herr steht vor Gott.